Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. You're watching the PCC Airfoils Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. PCC Airfoils, keeping the engines of change moving forward. Booyah!
And welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Yeah.
Ahead of the Seahawks game, the Browns 4-2, trying to move to 5-2. I'm Jay Crawford. Later in the show, we're all going to give you our pre-written headlines. Not just who wins, but how they do it. Bull.
Jay, I'm Adam the Bull. We're going to be drafting our top 5 players in this game. And I've got somebody that should be on the list, but I'm guessing I'm the only one who's got him. G. Bush.
I'm G. Bush. I'm the captain of the Kool-Aid Mafia, and you're going to find out today if I picked the Cleveland Browns to drink the Kool-Aid 3 weeks in a row. Stay tuned. Jason.
And I'm Jason Lloyd. We're going to talk to Bernie Kosar, the last quarterback to go up to Seattle and win. Mikey.
And I'm Mikey McNuggets, and I'm going to tell you why Amari Cooper better be a heavy part of Kevin Stefanski's game plan this week, or else.
Man, no, I buy that.
Or else what? What are you going to do, Mike?
Yeah,
You don't want to know.
He's going to pick
Kevin, you don't want to know.
Blowtorch and pliers on Monday.
Hey, don't step on McNuggets' toes. When he gets mad, he gets mad.
Feisty.
Blank around and find out.
That's
right?
exactly
There you go.
right, and Mikey's ready to do that.
Yeah.
There's so much talk over the last couple of weeks about the quarterback position. Obviously, there was more clarity this week in that we knew Deshaun Watson had been ruled out, and it is going to be P.J. Walker, who has been the 32nd ranked quarterback over his time as a starter. Guys, the good news is he's got a full week to prepare. He's not splitting reps. They set the table early for him. What are our expectations, realistic expectations for P.J. Walker in this one?
Listen, if he can not turn the football over, I think that's a win for the Browns. We've been fast and loose with the football. I think we're second in the league in giveaways. P.J. Walker made just enough plays down the stretch to get the Browns in field goal position and score touchdowns at the end of the game against the Colts. If he can keep the football, no predetermined throws, and he can stay on schedule, 2nd and 2, maybe 3rd and 3, that's where we want to be with P.J. Walker.
Hopes or expectations?
Yeah, there is a difference in this
big
case.
time.
But I want your expectations. Like, what are we expecting him to do?
I'll split the middle. If he can complete 60% of his passes,
Okay.
don't turn it over, as G said. The Browns haven't played a clean game all year. Hold on to the ball, protect the ball, stay in front of the change. I don't care if it's 2nd and 7, just don't be 2nd and 13. Stay in front of the chains, keep possession of the ball. Don't throw bad passes. Don't throw incompletions. If he's completing 60%, around 180 to 200 yards with no turnovers, that's a home run win in terms of what the Browns can expect to get out of this
It doesn't have to be
offense.
great.
No, that's not great by any means.
No,
those
it's
numbers.
not. But
We talked about it a little earlier, guys, that it's his 3rd game. He's gotten the most practice this week, that things should be a little better. However, you're facing Pete Carroll, one of the best coaches in the league, one of the best defensive coaches in the league. And while he has had a few weeks now to get his feet under him, well, now there's 2 weeks of video about how the throws he can and can't make. And there's a lot of throws, unfortunately, that he can't make. The hope is, yes, the turnovers. If there's no turnovers, the Browns will have a shot. But my expectations for him are very low. I'm not expecting any touchdowns from him. I'm not expecting him to throw for 200 yards. And I'm worried he's going to turn the ball over to the other team. In fact, I think he's more likely to throw a pick than a touchdown in this game. I think the Browns' only chance is to dominate defensively.
yeah, it's funny. You and I are exactly in step on our expectations for P.J. Walker. I have hopes and dreams for the guy. I have hopes that he throws 3 touchdowns and no picks. But when it comes to setting expectations, you have to. What can you use for that? Well, previous results. And the previous results, even without the full week of practice, the previous results have not been good, but they have told us that's who he is.
Right.
You know, his pedigree coming up to this point leads us to have low expectations for him. I expect him to be around 50% on the completion rate. I expect him to throw for less than 200 yards. I don't expect him to throw for a touchdown, and I do expect him to throw at least one interception. My hope is it's not multiple. If we can keep it to one, this team has a chance.
The good news, guys, like you said, Jay, he could throw for 150 yards, complete 50% of his passes, which is terrible. If he has no turnovers, they got a chance to win. I think there's no doubt about it. Won't be easy, but they got a chance if he just doesn't give the Seahawks the short field.
Yeah.
If he makes the Seahawks, if the Browns can make the Seahawks methodically move it down the field because there's no turnovers, they'll have a legitimate shot to win the game.
Kevin has to help him out. Not too much shotgun 5 wide where you got to have great protection. You got to have a back end that maybe max protect, and he has to get it out on screens and different things like that.
Jed Will's back at practice today. That's a good sign. He should be able to play. He missed yesterday's practice. There's questions about him having your left tackle. Even though he's had problems this year, having your left tackle in there's huge.
Things I didn't expect to hear you say for 1,000.
Right. Having Jed Wills in there is huge.
Jed Wills is back at practice. That's good. That's where we are. He's played very well his last 2 games.
Bush said it too, and that's even bigger.
I know.
Jason's at least defended Jed Wills.
All right, one of the things that can help P.J. Walker is if Amari Cooper is productive. Last week, it was really baffling because Amari Cooper, who is by far this team's #1 receiver, you couldn't find him on the field. It wasn't, I think, until the third quarter where he was even targeted. How do they get Amari Cooper more involved? Kevin Stefanski is supposed to be an offensive mind that can scheme guys open. What do they have to do to get him to be more central to the game plan?
Trade for another quarterback before Sunday.
Okay, outside of trading for another quarterback.
But that has a lot to do with it. Like we've talked all year about, well, the Browns need to upgrade a receiver. Well, do we really know that, or do they just need better quarterback play so that you can properly evaluate the receivers? And they go hand in hand. Amari's biggest play last week was the illegal contact penalty that he drew in the end zone that negated the turnover. So he's a veteran. He's going to get open. PJ just has to find him. And in order to find him, you got to give him time. You got to protect him. You got to give him time. And you have to put Amari in positions to where PJ can make the throws, because there's a lot of throws he can't make. We've seen him on the run try and throw across his body down the middle of the field, and he skips those passes. So you have to put Amari in spots where PJ is going to see him and be able to get him the ball.
You know, he threw a pass to Amari Cooper that ended up being a touchdown. We called it the punt ended up being a turnover.
Right.
We called it the punt throw. If he can make a good throw, Amari Cooper was wide open. Amari Cooper has 60-something yards and a touchdown, and we're not looking at it as a lost game.
Yeah.
So that's P.J. Walker. However, I would want to get him going early, and I might even look to throw him a quick screen pass or a slant right in the beginning of the game to get him going.
Totally agree.
Yeah, you know, to Bull's point, he did have a play. All he has to do is lead him to the left-hand corner, the end zone, to the pylon.
Yeah.
Easy touchdown. He had 2 throws where he stepped up against the 49ers. Ball skipped to Amari Cooper. He missed those throws. I think it is a thing. I mean, we're going to have P.J. Walker predominantly until John Watson gets healthy. You're going to have to get some easy stuff for him, some different things like deep comeback routes, some different things like some speed outs to get him comfortable. But you can't ask him to make the throws. He can't make the throws, Jay.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what it is.
They know what his throws are. They know what his capacity is. I'm 100% with you, Bull. I want to see him with 2 or 3 catches in the first series.
Get him in the flow.
Go to him. Even if it's just a 1 step off the line and you hit him. Get him warmed up early. Get him into the flow of the offense. What really scares me, guys, about this contest is that the defensive backs for the Seahawks are markedly better than the defensive backs for the Colts.
Yes.
They're really, really good.
Yeah.
And in Witherspoon, they've got a guy who, as just a rookie, McNuggets told us in our YouTube show earlier today, he's grading out as the highest cornerback in the NFL. You don't do that typically. So they've got a superstar corner who's great in cover to go up against our top receiver. We know that the other guys haven't been able to collectively beat anybody this year. They might have to step up and have their biggest game collectively if the Browns are going to come out with a victory. This is the matchup that scares me the most. Our wide receivers against their defensive backs.
Doesn't look good on paper.
No, it doesn't look good on paper. All right, let's look at Seattle's offense. Geno Smith's career trajectory has been really odd. We kind of wrote him off after his time with the Jets. He goes to Seattle. Pete Carroll resurrects his career. He gets a big contract. He's playing well this year. He's not playing at the level that he was last year, but he's playing very well. Then you've got a run game that's centered around Kenneth Walker, who's been very, very good for this team this year. What's more deadly to this Browns defense, in your guys' opinion? Is it Geno in the passing game, or is it Walker in the run?
Guys, I got to say, first of all, I was always someone that thought that they're, why can't I forgot his name, the Seahawks coach, Pete
Carroll.
I had a brain fart. Sorry. And Pete Carroll had always been like, he's a little overrated. But in the last 2 years, I have totally flipped on that because look at how Russell Wilson has played without him, and look at how Geno Smith has played with him. Geno had chances in other places. This idea that he didn't is false. And he looked awful wherever he'd been. And now he's like somewhere in that 11 to 15 range. You know, he's a nice, solid, mid-tier quarterback, and he's become a good player. That all being said, their run game is more dangerous because Kenneth Walker is nasty. They should have Zach Charbonnet this week back, the rookie running back, who's done some good things between the tackles. We learned earlier Walker's good on the outside, so there you go.
Kenneth Walker is better than Geno Smith, but I think Geno can hurt them more because the Browns have been more susceptible to big plays in the pass game. The defense has been terrific this year. A lot of the advanced metrics, the run game is still really solid despite what Indianapolis got off a couple of runs. Baltimore gassed them a couple times. The run game has been sound. The pass, they've been vulnerable defensively, if you want to call it that. So for that reason, even though I think Walker's a better player, I think they're more vulnerable to Geno in the pass.
Kenneth Walker, because it looked like the Browns had tackling issues last week. You saw Grant Delpit miss a few tackles. You look at Newsome as well as Emerson missed a tackle in a long run with a receiver. So you got Kenneth Walker coming in here, 240 pounds. He already has 450 rushing yards already. And the problem with him is they're going to be able to go ahead and pound the ball and then play action to another big guy, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I picked Kenneth Walker.
I have Walker as better at his position than Geno at his position. Also, when you look at the defense, they have been gashed at times, but the run defense for the Browns, their pass defense has been statistically their strength. And so I think this kind of plays into Seattle's run game, that they've been a little more susceptible against the run. Baltimore, you mentioned, some big runs they shouldn't have allowed. For that reason, I'm more concerned about Walker and the ground attack than Smith and the passing game. When we come back, Bernie Kosar, he's going to tell us all we need to know about winning in Seattle because he's the last Browns quarterback to do it way back in 1989. That when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show continues after this message from PCC Airport. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The Browns traveled to Seattle. Historically, that matchup hasn't gone well. In fact, the last Browns quarterback to make that trip and win, 1989, Bernie Kosar. Mikey McNuggets standing by with hole number 19 now.
Thanks, Jay. Well, we are joined again by Bernie Kosar, the one, the only, the legendary Browns quarterback. Bernie, you have played in some very tough environments throughout your career. You know better than anyone the difficulties of being a quarterback, making changes and adjustments in front of a raucous opposing crowd. So what does P.J. Walker have to do this Sunday in Seattle to keep this offense on track?
You know, it's good that P.J. has the full week to prepare for this game. Going into Seattle, when I used to play out there, I'll show my age, it was called the Kingdom, and it was one of the loudest places that you play in the NFL and stuff. They've now configured it to where it really is still probably one of the, it for sure is the loudest outdoor stadium that we have. And the hand signals, the ability to be disciplined in how you play is absolutely paramount. Today, just like we're doing this interview with technology and stuff, the communication between coach and quarterback is imperatively easier because you're able to have that kind of microphone in your head during the game.
Last week, heading into Indianapolis, we said, how do the Browns avoid a trap game? Well, now they're the underdogs in Seattle. So, Bernie, what's the recipe to pulling off an upset?
Well, you know what, first, to be 4-2 and to really kind of have the football gods be on our side the last couple Sundays for games that could have went the other way, and we could be going out to Seattle being 2-4 as opposed to coming out here and being 4-2. And the recipe really to beat a team on the road like this is just like last week. When you got your backup quarterback going, run the ball, be consistent on your offense. But boy, what our defensive line and what Myles Garrett did last week if you're able to dominate the offensive linemen like our defensive line has been doing, putting that pressure on them means our offense doesn't have to take as many chances. And right now, I'd love to be able to say our offense is going to be top 5 in the NFL. It's not. So offensively now, we want to make sure we don't beat ourselves. We don't want to make mistakes early and let that tough defense get up the field and put pressure on Geno Smith.
That is Bernie Kosar, the one, the only legendary Browns quarterback. Jay, back to you.
You matter. Go Browns.
Bernie, thanks. Some numbers for you. The Browns all-time 6-13 against Seattle. They've won just 3 times out on the coast. When we come back, who are the top 5 players in this game for both teams? We're going to have a best top 5 player draft when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show comes right back. We welcome you back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We are here every Friday at 12:30 during the football season.
Yes.
We are a YouTube show every single day of the year, Monday through Friday from 11 to 1. You can time shift us and watch whenever you want. Just type in Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show in the search engine. It will take you to our site. Subscribe and become a regular each and every day. All right, guys, we do this every week. We try to figure out who are the top 5 players in this game, regardless of team.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
So we do a player draft. Obviously, Deshaun Watson isn't playing. He's not eligible for this. But and this is odd. I don't know that we've ever done this where we've all agreed easily on who the number 1 player is in this game.
It was unanimous Myles Garrett, of course.
Well, coming off last week's game,
Yeah.
it's hard to put him anywhere but
How
number
is he
1.
anything but the best player?
You
So the
trolling.
first player off the board in the top 5 player draft for Browns Seahawks is Myles Garrett. But I have to tell you guys, after that,
There's
it
a lot
got
of
really
guys.
wonky. It could have gone a million different ways for me. But Jay, you can start. Who do you have as your number 2 pick?
Bobby Wagner, just because of the impact that he has on the defensive side of the ball for the Seahawks. One of the best defensive players in the game. He's not to Myles' level, but boy, he's really good. He can impact the game on a number of levels.
I thought he was trending down. He looks rejuvenated this year. He looks like the old Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
G, do you agree with that? Is he number 2?
Yes, indeed. We talked to the Seattle Seahawks beat reporter, and he talked about how Bobby Wagner looks faster at practice. He looks like he hasn't lost a step. As a matter of fact, he's running side for side with receivers down the sideline on wheel routes. I think Bobby Wagner has a lot left in the tank, and he's going to be a guy in this game that's going to have his impact felt all over the field because he runs sideline to sideline. And when he touches you, you go down.
I got Kenneth Walker, number 2.
Oh,
I
wow.
think he's a top 5 back. I think he's under the radar. I had Bobby Wagner 4th on my list.
Okay, I had Bobby Wagner 3rd. I have DK Metcalf number 2.
I had him 3.
He, for me, is one of those kind of genetic freaks that has both size and speed. We saw last year in the offseason, he thought he could be an Olympic sprinter. And although he doesn't have that high end of a gear, he didn't embarrass himself when he got out there and ran with world-class sprinters. This guy is big. This guy is fast. And the guy that's most likely going to be on him for a big part of the game is Denzel Ward, who is known for his cover skills, but not his size. So for me, I've got DK Metcalf as the number 2.
Bobby Wagner wins.
But Bobby Wagner wins it.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner is number 2, and you guys all sent me your list beforehand, so I did a numerical system.
Okay.
And Wagner and Metcalf actually tied for the 2nd most points.
Okay.
I give the edge to Wagner, so Wagner's going to be 2, and then based off points, Metcalf came in at number 3.
Which is funny because
Does anybody disagree with that?
No.
I had Wagner 4, but we all picked Denzel Ward to win the matchup.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So we're covered either way.
And then we all have DK Metcalf higher, which is funny.
Yeah, earlier on our YouTube
Yeah.
show when we were going one-on-ones, I gave the edge to Metcalf just because, again, I think I feel like he's a really special player. Now, sometimes I watch him, and I wonder if he's given max effort because sometimes he just doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
And then other games you watch him and he looks like he's super motivated. Nobody can cover him and nobody can catch him.
Reminds me a little of Josh Gordon.
He does,
Yeah.
in Josh's ridiculous season that he put together here. So number 3 then, who
Well, 3 we got.
3's going to be Metcalf.
Metcalf.
You guys all sent me in, and they say they tied
Okay.
13 points. Wagner got the edge
So
by my
Walker,
vote.
Kenneth Walker is still my highest rated guy.
I think Kenneth Walker is still on the board. I would go with Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker for me too.
I actually had Denzel 4 and Kenneth Walker 5. Maybe I had Walker a little bit low. But that's how close I think the matchup is between DK and Denzel. I had them back-to-back on my list.
Kenneth Walker is number 4. He had 6 points in our final tally, which leaves the last spot open as a second Brown going to make it into the last spot.
Amari Cooper. Is Amari Cooper on the list? Ding, 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 ding. I think he's going against Devon Witherspoon. And Tariq Woolen, by the way, is a bad man himself. 6'3", 6'4" corner, running 4.2 and a 40 long. They get long corners out there. Richard Sherman, obviously, but I think Amari Cooper, even though they got really good corners, I think Amari Cooper is a route tactician.
I might be in the major minority here. Did you have Amari too?
No, I had Kenneth Walker at 5 because I had
So
Denzel
who was your
on my
missing
list.
guy?
Yeah.
Denzel.
Oh, Denzel.
Oh,
So
okay.
Denzel.
My missing guy so far is Geno. I have Geno Smith in there at number 5, which means I only had one Brown on my entire list.
You see, guys, these guys all blew it.
Yeah,
Number 5 is Dustin Hopkins.
I knew you were
going
to say that.
The guy's been the best kicker in football. You're not. We were told when we originally started this assignment, there's not supposed to be position bias as to what's more important. And Dustin Hopkins is without a doubt been the best kicker in the NFL, and the Browns are 2-4 without him. There's no doubt about it.
If he's the 5th best player in this game, this is going to be a terrible game to watch.
Well, Bull, they've already named the airport after him, right? He made those skills.
Hopkins International.
There you go.
I don't know, Bull. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I can't put a
Has
kicker.
he not been the best kicker?
He's been impactful. So if that's
And
your
he's been the
definition,
best kicker in the league
But
this
when
year.
I look at best players, like if I look at this as I'm building my team, and if I'm taking a kicker number 5, this is coming from a guy who in our chat the last couple of weeks in all caps 20 times has been never draft a kicker.
And that's correct. But if we're doing position bias, then Geno should have been number 2 with the latest.
Never said
Well,
never
Geno
trade
Smith,
for a kicker.
regardless, based off the numerical system, Geno Smith ended up being the 5th player. So our top 5 players in this game, according to our draft, Myles Garrett 1, 4 Seahawks after, Bobby Wagner, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, and Geno Smith. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airflow is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airflows in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all jobs starting at $18 and up. Plus, for benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus, you can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
All right, coming up, who wins this game, which kicks off 52 hours from right now? Well, I can tell you this. We have our pre-written headlines when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show comes right back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This is my favorite segment every week. It's pre-written headlines. We tell you who wins and why. Before we get to the headlines, quick bit of breaking news. Adam Schefter just tweeting that Jerome Ford, who we thought was out 1 to 2 weeks with the low-grade high ankle sprain, is now questionable. He has, according to Adam, surprised the Browns with what he's been able to do. All right, who wins this game? What's the headline? Jason, you're in the business, so you go first.
PJ, get your PJs on, guys. Sunday. PJ put to sleep. Seahawks defense swarms Walker and Browns loss. I'm sorry. Even with the extra practices, I don't have a lot of faith in PJ
magic
Walker.
runs out.
Yeah.
All right, I thought about this for about 10 minutes, and I did go back and forth. I had the Browns, but ultimately, here's my headline. I decided in the end that Seattle's just got too much because of the home crowd. Browns' luck runs out. It's been, let's face it, guys, the last 2 wins. You don't apologize. They go in the win column. Not this time. Their luck runs out. They lose this one 24-10.
Unfortunately, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I got the Browns losing this one as well. Let's see the headline there. Seahawks end Browns brief streak. It's not a great headline. I was not happy with it, but, whatever. Geno Smith throws 2 touchdowns as Cleveland defense shows cracks. I'm a little concerned about the defense being overtaxed right now.
All right. Now, last week, before you make your headline, last week we all said they were losing.
No, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago against San Francisco, and you famously said they've got this.
Yeah.
Are you drinking the Kool-Aid again?
Kool-Aid man on deck. And then guess what, guys? I got the Browns losing. Wow. Seattle ends Walker's fairy tale. Cinderella loses a cleat and returns to normal in a 21-13 loss. Now, I tell you what. Listen, I like the Browns. I drink the Kool-Aid. I'm still the captain of the Kool-Aid Mafia. But this week a little different with that crowd. I think they'll at least get to 5-3 a couple of weeks. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
The dumbest thing ever is when fans get mad if you pick their team to lose, as if we want the Browns to lose.
And by the way, our picks have nothing to do with what's going to happen
That's
Sunday,
right.
so
That's
chill. McNuggets.
Luckily, when we're unanimous on this show, we're always wrong, and unanimously, we are all picking the Seahawks. I said walking on thin ice. AB goes sleepless in Seattle after spending all night making calls for a new QB2, which means we all picked the Seahawks, which means the Browns are going to win now.
Yeah.
So good job, guys. We have reverse jinxed the Browns into a W.
And Andrew Berry's got Nick Sirianni eyes in that picture.
Yeah, I know. He looked like he's just coming off a bender, for crying out loud. All right, that's going to do it for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Don't forget the post-game show. It starts on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel at the 2-minute warning.
Peace.